Hola y bienvenidos a Lightspeed Spanish. Well, today, welcome to the Spanish countryside in Guadalajara. It's a little bit hot and it's a little bit dry, but it's beautiful. Today I want to talk about pronouns and the difficulty that we have as students of the Spanish language to understand when we should be using lo and when we should be using le. Hablamos de todo en la segunda parte. So we better start with the basic. What are pronouns and what are these pronouns that I'm talking about? Well, there are two sets of pronouns that we want to focus on. We've got direct pronouns and we've got indirect pronouns. Let's find out what they are first. Direct pronouns go like this. Me, te, lo, la, nos, os, los, las. What do they mean? Simple. Me, you, him, her, it, us, you all, and them. And then we've got the indirect pronouns, which are these. Me, te, le, nos, os, les. What do they mean? Well, to me, to you, to him, to her, to it, to us, to you all, to them. Y mientras tanto, vamos a ver las montañas un poco. Que esta es mi zona, Guadalajara. Y es una zona guapísima. Y mira la antena. La antena allí es lo que uso para guiarme cuando me pierdo. You probably noticed that with the indirect pronouns, we started with to me, to you, to him, to her. There are other prepositions that we use, but principally if you think about to me, to you, that helps a lot. We call that the furniture removers list. So you may have looked at those two lists and you may have noticed one interesting thing. That they're identical except for the third person, singular and plural. So everything's the same except for a lo, la, and le, or a los, las, and les. This is really good news for people who use pronouns in Spanish, because if you're using the me, if you're using the te, the nos, and the os, you don't need to know whether it's direct or indirect. It doesn't matter. You can say me ven, and you can say me escriben. Now those two are different. The first one was direct and the second one was indirect, but it doesn't matter. It's just me. Where it gets interesting is when you have to identify between a lo, a la, or a le. So how do you do that? Before we do that, we need to learn the names. And this is easy. How are you going to remember that lo and la is direct? Well, you're going to remember this. Lola is a very direct woman. Lola is a very direct woman. That's how we remember that lo and la is direct. Le is indirect. How are you going to remember that? Well, you're going to think about the people from Nottingham in the UK, because they don't say indirectly as what we would. They say indirectly, le. And they finish the word indirectly with le, because that's their accent. So indirectly, indirectly. Okay? So with le, that's indirect. And Lola is a direct woman. That's it, you've got them in your head now. So all that we've got to do is understand when we use a direct pronoun, lo, la, and obviously we're not going to deal with the plural, but the plural is exactly the same. And when do we use an indirect pronoun, le? Well, it's easy, and I'm going to show you pictorially. Imagine that in front of me is Juan, and I look at Juan, and I want to say, I see Juan. What I do is I say, veo a Juan. Veo a Juan. Hola, Juan. If I want to make that shorter, I need a pronoun, and I need to say, I look at him. I look at him, or I see him. Now the question is, do I say lo veo, or do I say le veo? Well, the trick is in this. Between Juan and me, I have a direct line to him. So watch. I can walk directly to Juan. Hola, Juan. Es que lo veo. Lo veo. So because I've got a direct line between Juan and me, I will use lo, because lo is a direct. By the way, this has nothing to do with grammar, this is just a way of understanding it. But now, imagine that I'm going to make Juan a cup of coffee. And I've got a cup of coffee, and I put the cup of coffee there. Now, we've got an exchange going on. Now there's something in between Juan and me. So now, if I walk over to Juan, I can't go directly. I've got to go indirectly. Hola Juan, mira aquí un café, que aproveche. So that's the difference. When there's something being exchanged between me and another person, that means that there's something in between us. And therefore, the pronoun that I have to use is indirect, because I can't walk directly over to Juan. There's a cup of coffee in between, and so I have to walk indirectly to Juan. And yet, if I just see Juan, there's Juan where the camera is, I just see him. There's nothing in between, and I can walk directly up to Juan. Lo veo. Y eso es todo. Eso es. If nothing is being exchanged between the person and me, then I'm going to use a direct pronoun. If there's something being exchanged, I'm going to use an indirect pronoun. Cuidado, eh? Cuidado, because here in the middle of Spain, we have what's called leísmo, and those rules are not necessarily followed. However, for us as students, my suggestion is that we follow these rules. Let's say it correctly, and then we won't be confused at all. Bueno chicos, muchas gracias por pasar un ratito conmigo en el campo. ¡Qué precioso! No hace tanto calor en este momento porque son las 11 de la mañana, pero luego sí, vamos a llegar a 36, 37 grados. Pero qué rico, qué rico. Y por cierto, estés donde estés en España, vais a ver esto. Es que España tiene más campo que, vamos, más campo que cualquier otro país. Es enorme, es bonito y ojo, tú puedes llegar a cualquier pueblo sin tener que pisar la carretera. Hay caminos y este camino me lleva a casa. Hasta luego chicos, adiós.